Hey folks, what's up? This is JD. Just need to give you a quick update before you jump into this episode. Roy talks about the fact that he was 28 fish away from completing his 38,000th catch of a largemouth bass, and I am proud to say that he did accomplish that right after we recorded this episode. So when you get to the end of the episode and he's talking about hitting his 38,000th bass, just know that he did it right after. Enjoy.
There's a reason they call it fishing and not catching, as we can all relate to.
Time for the Angler Within podcast with Roy Bilby.
I got to tell you about the tournament we just had. The interesting thing about it is I should have made more of a clarification when I talked about the dog days of August on our last podcast, because I said I go to moving water, rivers and streams, and the examples I cited were from Schoharie Creek, which is more of a stream than a river. It's a creek. It's a good sized creek, but it is not a river by any stretch. And our tournament this weekend was on the Mohawk River, which is a navigable river. You can take it, and so many people do, right out to the ocean and run the coast all the way down to Florida. In October, when we're on the river, we see a lot of cruisers, and they're all coming down the river. They're all headed back out, and a lot of them have Florida on the back of that boat because that's where they're headed in October. They're just cruising all the way down the Mohawk, into the Hudson, out to the ocean, down the coast, back to Florida on their boat. And some of these yachts are, good grief, they cost more than my house 3 times over. It's ridiculous what you see on that river. But because of that, it's hard to find current seams and stuff like that I talked about on this river, because it's got a very deep channel. It's got some shallow flats, but it's a navigable river. It's marked with buoys, and there's a channel, and you get all kinds of heavy traffic on this river. That being said, we are in the dog days of August, and because of all the lack of rain we've had throughout the summer, the river is a little low. I mean, it's got a lock system, so they can regulate that to some degree, but it was a little low, not bad at all, almost full pool, but it was exceptionally clear, and a lot of teams were complaining about that. Now, when we fished at this particular pool that we launched in, we checked a number of spots that have always given up fish for us. And right off the bat, I hook up and I get a fall fish. Well, that's no good. Later on, I catch a short smallmouth. That's no good. It took 4 hours to put the first fish in the boat, and we had checked numerous spots which had produced for us before. And again, because this is a navigable river, it's hard to find current seams or there's no shallow riffles. Doesn't exist.
You're just basically floating on sections of pond at that point on these pools, right? Because it's in between locks.
Yeah.
It doesn't move.
Right.
You're on still water.
There's current, but it's very
little.
slow.
Yeah.
Very slow moving this time of year. The only thing that remotely resembles what I had talked about and where we have found our fish in the creek is you can go up. I said they look for highly oxygenated water, and they do. And that's at the base of every lock. So the best you can do in that pool is to run up to the next lock and fish right below that lock. And our tournament started with, we started at 7 a.m. because the locks open at 8. So he didn't want everybody to have to wait longer. We would have started sooner, but he didn't want people to have to wait if they were going to lock through. We drew number 11 in the takeoff, and the first 10 boats all ran upriver ahead of us. And I said, they're all going to the lock. And they did. And so there's no spot to fish. And there is not room for 10 boats at that lock. They would have been right on top of each other. So that took that water, that highly oxygenated water, right out of the equation for us by virtue of the draw number that we had. So we went to a spot that's always good in the morning, and it just did not produce. So long story short, it took 4 hours before we finally get a fish in the boat, and I caught a 2.7 smallmouth fishing a drop shot out in about 13 foot of water. And shortly after that, Mark hooked up fishing in about 8-10 feet of water with a drop shot rig. Thought, okay, now we got something going here, because it was in the same area, just a little bit shallower than where I had hooked mine, but within 50 foot of the same spot. And that one came in halfway and just came unbuttoned. Nothing he did wrong. The fish just didn't have it well, and we could not duplicate. So we checked a couple other spots, and with my electronics, we went to a couple pieces of structure and humps and stuff that we know is out there in that channel, and they were covered with fish, but we could not get them to eat anything. We could get them to look at it, but they would not commit. And I even went old school with a little George tail spinner, snapping it off the bottom, trying to draw a reaction strike. Nothing on a Ned rig, nothing on the drop shot. They were not doing anything. I tried the Kredge, which I've become really fond of using for smallmouth, and no response whatsoever. So with an hour and a half left in our day, we went back to the spot where we had hooked 2 keepers and boated 1. And I catch a short smallmouth, no help. And 15 minutes into it, Mark hooks up again, and he lands a 2.5 smallmouth within a foot of where he hooked that fish before, throwing the same lure. So we were wondering if it was perhaps the same fish. I mean, that's pure speculation. You'll never know. The point was, now we had 2 keepers in the live well and an hour and 15 minutes left to fish, and we never got another strike. So we did try several creek mouths during the day, but they had no current flow. So that basically took those out of the equation. We could see fish, but we could not get them to strike. There was just no water movement, and that's what you need for those places to produce. So we head back to the weigh-in with our 2 keepers. Now, to tell you where we were at in the season-long point standings, we were in a 3-way tie for 9th place with 2 other teams. And the top 10 in points after the last regular season event are invited to fish the championship. Only 10 teams there. And we have fished a lot of those, and that is the goal every year, get into that championship, because that's a good payout, and you want to be one of those 10 teams. So we figured, I mean, when you have a day that's that slow and that tough, and we had talked to guys before the tournament, some of the friends we compete against, one guy in particular, we've been talking a lot with, and he said he came and checked all his best spots this week, and there was nothing on him. He doesn't know what's going on. And these guys are good on the river. And for them to not find fish, we thought, man, might be a tough day. And that's what we experienced. And you always have in the back of your head, well, hope it was tough on everybody, and these 2 fish will help us get somewhere. But I've done this enough years to know that is rarely the case. They're always going to find them. Guys are always going to have limits. They're going to pound them, and you're going to go, what did we miss? And if you fish tournaments, you've been there, you've been that guy, and you just go home shaking your head. What did I miss? They caught him like it was normal. What did I do wrong? So
as a fun fishing guy, I often say to myself, what did I miss?
Yeah.
as I skunk out and head home.
I hate the skunk.
Just
I
saying.
hate the skunk.
This is me just humbling you real quick, being like, don't forget, there are those of us out there who are not competitive fishermen who just can't seem to catch something.
Right. That's real. Hopefully we're helping people get past that.
Sometimes we just suck.
Yeah. So we come in with these 2 fish, and I told Mark, I said, well, however this shakes out, I'm proud of the 2 that we put in the boat today, because we worked our butts off and we earned them. So the buzz around the ramp, I mean, there's some teams coming in with 0. And these are guys that have won repeatedly on the river, that live on it and fish it way more than we do. And it's their backyard. And they're coming in saying they got nothing. We're looking at each other going, these two fish might, well, hopefully they'll make a difference for us. There were very, very few limits brought in. And I'll tell you what, there were more teams that zeroed in this event than I've ever seen before in this club. And I've been fishing this club 30 years. It's my family. So with those two fish, I mean, we weighed in 4 3/4 of a pound and we finished 8th overall. Unprecedented, unbelievable. And it just goes to show two things. Shout out to Ike here. Never give up. And you just never know. Like I said, that it rarely pans out when you struggle that much. And you always hope, I hope everybody struggled, but that is never, ever, ever the case. This time, amazingly, it was. And those two fish that we ground out in 8 hours of fishing, and we're supposed to be good at this, right? But that's fishing. There's a reason they call it fishing and not catching, as we can all relate to. But those two fish, we now are the sole owners of the 9th place in the point standings. We have an 8-point spread gap between us and 10th place, and we're only 3 points out of 6th. So those two fish, in the 30 years I've been competing, those two fish did more for us point-wise than I could have ever imagined, and more than any finish like that has ever. Typically, you come in with two fish, you're dropping like a rock in the point standings, and you've dug yourself a hole now with only 2 regular season events left that you're probably not going to climb out of. But we held court and we gained on the two teams that were tied with us, because one or both of them came in with a 0. And you feel for those guys, but I've been in that spot too. So those two fish, like I said, they did more for us point wise than I've ever seen in 30 years coming in on a day when we struggled that hard. So it goes to show you just never know. So I was amazed and still can't believe it. So we're going to buckle down and give 110% at this next 2 tournaments and make sure that we continue to climb and stay in that top 10. That's the goal. I will keep everyone posted on that. Now you were in Vermont?
I was in Barnard, Vermont for 5 nights camping.
For some R&R,
Some R&R. So my original plan was to go out to the St. Lawrence and camp with some friends of mine up there.
Yep, I remember you saying that.
I wasn't able to leave when I wanted to go. That's a pretty far drive. I mean, so is Vermont too, but I wasn't able to leave I wasn't able to leave when I wanted to go. And I had to get a hitch put on the new vehicle, and I didn't get done with that until Tuesday. And the other thing was, I was asked to bring a smaller tent. I was also a smaller tent, yeah, because they're on an island and there was somebody else coming, and so they were asking me to have a smaller footprint, which I was kind of okay with at first, but then also I was gonna have to have the dog, stay with a friend as well, and it was a whole thing. So because I was leaving late and I just wanted to be alone, I just needed to go recharge the batteries, R&R to its full extent. I didn't want to know a single person unless I was choosing to go see them, right? So
okay. That's fair.
Yeah. Nothing against the folks. I told them I was in for next year for sure. This year.
No, every once in a while, you just need some
you have
time to recharge.
Yeah. And they were great people that I would have been with up on the St. Lawrence. It didn't work out. I ended up going and staying at the state park that I used to be a ranger at, Silver Lake State Park. And
what was it like going back as a camper to a place that you were a ranger at?
Well, I did it once before in 2023.
Okay.
And I had a good enough time that I wanted to go again.
Okay.
I only stayed for 3 nights in 23. I stayed for 5 nights this time. So
nice.
It was great. You know what I mean? It was great just to be a paying camper and not have to like clean bathrooms or stack wood or go and tell noisy people to be quiet at night.
Right.
That was great. The funny thing about the Vermont State Park system is this, and some of you out there might have been before. Most of the campers that are at a Vermont State Park live within like 10 miles of the park. These are people who they're not traveling far. They just want to go camp.
Really?
Yes. It's actually quite fascinating. But most of the folks that are there, I mean, there are people who travel too, but the vast majority of folks who are at the park live within 10 to 20 minutes away every weekend. It's incredible.
That's crazy.
And a lot of them know each other. They go out there and they hang out. And
what are they getting away from?
I don't think anything. They're just you know what it is? They go out, they have a campfire, they're drinking beers, they're having a good time. Kids are running around, riding their bikes around, going to the beach, doing it. It's just it's simple, relaxing fun.
Okay.
That's just kind of the vibe in Vermont. It's just a different vibe than New York. New York, you wouldn't see that. No one's going to stay in this unless they're traveling somewhere significant. I'm not going to go over to Gilbert Lake over here because I live 20 minutes away. Why would I go to Gilbert Lake and pay to go camp there?
Right.
When I can just stay at home for free. Like
I'll tell you what I've observed in New York the past 5 years, and I don't get it. So somebody help me out here, because I see people with these $140,000 motorhomes,
yes,
and these $110,000 tow behinds with all these pop out extensions and all that, and they set them up on these little right next to a major road on a pond, and that's their. I'm like, what?
Yeah, to each their own, right?
I see that. Yeah, to each their own. I see that all over the place. Some of these small, like 15-acre lakes I go to fish have two campers side by side between them and the water, and there's a major road right there with, 1,500 cars going by a day. What are they getting away from?
Exactly. I don't know.
I don't get it. But I always imagine that those same people there's that guy sitting in that rowboat again. What is he doing?
Exactly.
What is he doing?
So
is he catching the same fish he caught last time? What's he doing?
Back to the story about Vermont.
Yep.
I'll back it up to when I left the house, because this is the best. Anything that could have possibly gone wrong went wrong. And the photo the photo for this
You're
episode,
trying some R&R.
I know, but the photo for this episode is the beginning of my trip.
Okay.
So I got the hitch put on. I came back to the house. I'm getting around better with the knee, but I'm still nowhere near 100%. So, and I'm by myself trying to get the trailer hooked on with my boat on it. And it becomes very clear to me that my kayak, the Beast, is too big for me to handle on my own still. So now I'm going to go. Now I'm going to go. Right. So now while I'm injured, it's way too much. So I call Matt. And I say, Matt, do you mind if I take your boat, because it's lighter for me to handle on my own? And he says, of course, go ahead. He gave me the ones and twos on it, what to know about it, and then that was great. So then my neighbor's roommate lady helps me move my boat off of the trailer. She couldn't get over how heavy it was. And then I got it up and going, and I'm pulling out of my road to get up on the main road to get out to the highway.
Yep.
I'm looking at the side view mirror just in time to see the wheel fly off of Matt's kayak cart. The wheel just flings off the cart, and I forgot that it was missing a cotter pin. I didn't have one on there to hold it in place. So I was like, oh no, thank God I saw it. Because if I'd have gone away to Vermont and I had one wheel on a kayak cart, I'd have been completely screwed.
Yes, you would.
So I stopped the car, I turn around, I go back to the road that I live on so I can get the trailer off the highway.
Yeah, that's called an omen.
And I walk down and I limp out to the highway and then down the highway. People think I'm crazy watching me walk down this road. I'm trying to find the wheel. Yeah. I walk like 150. I walk like 100 yards down this road trying to find. Yeah,
you need that with your leg.
Trying to find and traffic, and there's no shoulders, so it's just like this is not safe for me either way. There's a woman who's unloading her car who keeps staring at me thinking that I'm like some like druggie who's like eyeballing her because I was out in front of her house. It's where I thought the wheel was. And I couldn't find it. And I was like, oh my God, Matt's going to kill me. I can't find the wheel to his cart. So Finally, I got tired of this woman very frightfully looking at me, and I just waved and I said, I'm just trying to find something. I lost a wheel off a cart. She said, was that you with the sailboat on the trailer? And I said, that's not a sailboat, but yes, that was me. And she said, okay, good luck. Thanks for your help.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get fed up. I walk back 100 yards towards the car. And as I get to the turn of the road, there's the wheel. I lost track of where the wheel was, and I walked way too far for no reason. Got back over.
Of course you did.
Swung over to Canoe and Kayak Rentals and Sales. Saw Garrett, Brent's number 2, and he got me a pin to put on there, and I got on my way. So that was the beginning. I get to the park 4 hours later. It's a 3-hour and 45-minute drive. I stopped and went to the bathroom, got some gas, got a sandwich on the way up. Stupidly, I don't have my brace on. And I get out of the car, and these nice people next door to me came over because my dog, in the first 5 minutes I was there, slips her collar and decides to go wandering in the pitch dark in the campground. Couldn't find her. I didn't know where she went.
Grief.
I look over to my neighbor to the right, and luckily there's Tilly snooping through their food, of course, that was next to their table, freaking them out. The woman was afraid it was a bear. She thought she was a bear at first.
Are you
and
kidding
she was
me?
she's a little fat, so it makes sense.
Not bear size.
No, but that was how I met these people. So they come over and help me set up my tent because it's pitch dark. The car is packed hastily, so nothing's in order in the back of this Jeep. As they're helping me put the tent up, and I went to grab something, I went to grab like paracord out of the front of the car, there was an exposed root that I didn't see because I didn't have my headlamp on either.
Oh, no, I know where this is going.
And I twisted my knee.
Oh.
And I knew it wasn't good, but I just trudged along. I wasn't in pain. It hurt when I did it, but it didn't hurt after. So I just kind of ignored it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and I kept I was still limping because I'm limping, right? And so I'm doing my thing around, and I was telling him about my knee, and she puts the flashlight on my leg without me really looking. I was doing something else, and she goes, "Yeah, it does look swollen." I look down, Roy. My knee is the size of a grapefruit. It is.
Oh, boy.
It's just as big as it was when I first did it, and I was like, I've undone all the work I've done to this point trying to rehab this knee. I thought I thought I blew it. I thought I bit the dust. I put the knee brace on immediately, and I take about 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen right there and then. I was like, this is not good. And I'm trying to and I'm playing it off like it's fine, but it's not.
And this is the first night.
This is 15 minutes after I get there. So things aren't shaping up very nicely. You can't. I'm like, can't I just get a break, please?
Apparently not.
Nope. So
no break for you.
I did eventually get everything set up and was exhausted. Stupidly, I did not check the weather before I left. And the only thing right that I did for that evening was muster up the energy to put the fly on the tent by myself. Now I haven't. This is an 8-man tent. It's big, so it's tall. It's very hard to put a rain fly on that by yourself as it's set up. But I got it done.
Yeah, because of the size.
And the moment I got onto my easy bed, I also had a queen sized inflatable easy bed. You plug it in. I bought an inverter so I could just plug it in and the thing would turn on. I was glamping for sure. And
that's allowed.
It is for 5 days. Yeah, absolutely, it is. I was setting up an Airbnb for myself
with a knee injury.
Yeah, exactly. So the second I get into the tent with the dog, the skies open up and it's raining, and it proceeded to rain all night. The next morning, it's still raining. I get up.
Of course.
The dog food that I got that I fed her with the night before, I left the box out with the lid off the box. So now the food is wet.
Soup.
The dog refuses to eat the food because it's wet. She won't eat it now.
Giving you the look.
Exactly.
This is wet, right?
I start making breakfast, and I'm making bacon, and I'm heating up the pan on my stove.
That's just kind of cruel.
Yeah. And I walk away to the car for 1 second, and I come back over, and the dog has a whole rack of raw bacon in her mouth, and she's trying to eat it as fast as she can.
Right. Before you get back.
So I yanked the bacon out of her mouth. I didn't have to. All I had to do was just look at her, and she was immediately terrified. And I just cut the end of the bacon off that she was gnawing on, and I kept the rest, even though and I picked the pine straw off of it because it was on the ground. I made the bacon. It was quite tasty. Still, I didn't care. I ate that up. I didn't care.
3-second rule.
Whatever. Dog mouth on it. I don't care. So no fishing the first day. Short story long. No fishing the first day. Got out on day 2. The same guy who helped me set up a tent helps me get Matt's boat off the trailer and onto the cart, and he walks it down to the water for me.
Yep. Great guy.
Great guy. Then I had to get it back on the trailer by myself. So I got back after, once again, windy, getting blown across the lake once again, and I'm paddling because I can't pedal, so I'm paddling.
And how is your knee at this point?
Still big.
Yep.
It was down about 80% the next day, but it was still swollen. So I'm not moving around too well. I did get some casts in, but the fishing wasn't very good. So I didn't even see a fish. And this lake that I was on has got 8-pound largemouth in it and gigantic northern pike. It's full of them, and nothing.
They're hiding.
So, and there's like a trough of like a 30-foot trench in the middle of the lake. I'm assuming they were probably out in there is where they went to. But, it was also, the weather was changing. It was just, there was a cold front that went through. I don't know. Things were against me. We got back to the shore. There was some nice ladies sunning themselves on a towel by where I was pulling out of the lake. And I asked one to come over and just put the cart. I lifted the boat up. I said, "Can you place the cart halfway up the boat?" And they did. This lady did. Very nice lady with a giant diamond ring on her finger. And I wheeled it back to the trailer myself and got it back on the trailer and strapped back down, limped it over.
The whole way.
But it was not easy to get. It was a big ditch I had to get in and out of on the way over. Like, it was work. Now, mind
100%.
you, Sean and Matt have been doing all the dirty work for me with these boats since I got hurt. This is the first time I've done it myself.
Right.
The whole time.
And you wrenched your knee just the night before.
Exactly. I'm going to be honest. I didn't catch any fish, but my sense of accomplishment after getting that boat back to the trailer and onto the trailer by myself
was off the charts.
Was more than I would have felt from catching anything that day. The next day that I fished was Saturday. Same deal. Didn't catch a fish. Did not. The kayak stayed on the trailer the rest of the week because I didn't want to go through all that again. So a lot of my time was just sitting in the campsite, eating a bag of chips, Triscuits and cheese, making dinner here and there. Chilling out. That's what I needed.
Yeah.
So got out Saturday. My buddy Pete came. He had a Mohawk canoe. Are you familiar with Mohawk canoes?
Yeah.
Vintage. Older canoe.
Yeah, right.
Very, very low profile canoe and extremely tippy. And the two of us were out of his canoe. I thought we were going to go over. I seriously did. And we had to face each other in the canoe because I couldn't fit myself up into the front the way I should have.
With your legs.
So we're facing each other. I almost stuck him in the side of the face with my lure like 3 different times, dude.
Oh.
It was a mess. We only got a little bit of time, and the wind was bad once again. It did eventually calm down. This is all because of that hurricane off the coast.
Right.
So eventually the water calmed down. Neither of us caught a thing, though. We didn't even see a fish. Skunked again. But it was good just to get out and see my friend. It's funny how you can have a trip where you catch nothing, but you still get what you need.
Yeah.
So
yep.
That's the abridged. I've got more to that trip that's funny, but I've already taken up a good amount of time just explaining that little bit. Hopefully I didn't bore everybody out.
That was enough. Good grief. If things can go wrong, they will and often do. So
to me,
yeah,
I have bad luck with that. Yes.
You were born under a black cloud.
I don't know if that's the case, but if it can happen, it happens to me for some reason.
It does.
I don't know.
It sure does.
But the good news out of all that is that I went to physical therapy this morning after being gone all last week, and the Bend, 95 degrees.
Holy cow.
Up from 91 last week.
And you told them what happened?
Yeah.
With it?
Yep.
And they looked at it. What'd they say?
It wasn't swollen, so they said, let's, do your exercises, and I did them. And then they measured me at the end of the morning of my session, and I was up 4 degrees. So
that's awesome.
90 degrees is a big milestone, and then 120 is the next big one. But the what I was told, and it is holding true, once you hit 90, the progress speeds up because you've got more swing to momentum. You got more momentum to put into the bend.
You probably stifled it a little bit with that hang up on that root. The fact that you didn't lose any of it, that's all good, positive stuff.
Yeah. So there's a little fishing / vacation story from JD. I thought about voice recording as stuff was going wrong and like happening, kind of like how you do in the boat when you're.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't do it. But I do have many a story. I'll get into one next week about the 4-year-old. Remind me to tell you about the 4-year-old on the tricycle who wouldn't wear a helmet.
Okay.
That was the 4-year-old son of the guy that helped me out and his wife. He's got a 4-year-old. Roy, this guy's 58 years old. He has a 4-year-old son at 58.
Oh, boy.
I'm
There's one that wasn't
44.
planned.
I don't have the patience for his kid. And he's 58.
All
You know what I heard?
Well.
A lot of yelling at this kid is what I heard happening from both him and his wife. I heard a lot of yelling at that young
Sounds
man.
like they don't have the patience either.
You know, some people, and I guess it just depends on how you've raised your child in the house, but it's so funny how I hear some people having full-grown adult debate / conversation with a 4-year-old.
Oh, trying to reason with them.
Yeah, who's not like,
Yeah.
he's not reasoning. Like, they're sitting there explaining to him things. And I just
Right.
wanted to say, just tell him if he doesn't wear the helmet, you're taking away the tricycle.
Yeah.
That's it. Roy,
He's
he was
4. You're in
He was
charge.
flying down this hill, and making this 90-degree turn
Oh,
that if he didn't make the 90-degree turn, he was going to end up in the main thoroughfare for the camp. He was going to get hit by a car. 'Cause some people fly on that road going through camp.
oh man.
And so no helmet on. And then he's making this crazy turn. I'm watching him skid out. Like he's skidding out through this around the, and he got tired of using his brakes, and then he just became this like daredevil and was pedaling as fast as he could go down this grade and cranking that turn on this trike. And I'm like, he's either going to get hit by a car
Yep,
or he's
going
going
off
to
the
eat
two
it.
wheels.
Or he's going to eat it and go to the hospital because he's going to be a mess. Well, after I left, it turned out that he made the turn and then he collided with the shower house that was down there in the bathroom. He ran right into the wall because his brakes.
Yep.
Because he forgot how to use his brakes. Because he's
It
4.
jumped right out in front of
Because
him.
he's 4.
Yeah.
And they're letting him just go do that. I'm sitting there watching. I was like the only one who was a parent. I don't even have any children.
Sounds like they have no control over him.
So, yeah, that was my only gripe about these nice folks that were next door. They gave me onion bags filled with kindling for my fire pit.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it costs for a bundle of wood now, thanks to the federal park cuts?
Oh boy.
They're trying to make the money back in the wood.
Wow.
$9 a bundle for like
Just for campfire wood.
it's like $1 a stick for like 8 pieces of wood. $9,
Hey.
and it's kiln dried, so it burns really fast.
Yep. So it doesn't last.
It
long.
doesn't last. Yeah, there's like a couple pieces of hardwood in there, and the rest of it's all soft.
So it lights well, but it doesn't last.
Yeah. So anyway, there's my griping about my trip.
Okay.
Those are the parts that weren't very relaxing about the trip, but overall it was very good, much needed. Do I seem a little more rejuvenated?
Yeah.
A little more electric.
A little bit more.
All right, we'll take it.
Yes, we will.
Now, do you want to
Well,
give a tip before we get out of here?
I do want to give a tip, but I want to update too.
Oh, where are you at on your count?
That's where I'm going with this. I am 28 bass short of breaking 38,000. I am going to Rexmere Lake tomorrow, where I've been doing well and catching more of the larger fish. My goal is always to have that milestone fish be a picture-worthy fish, but so many times. I mean, this will be my 38,000. And so many of those 1,000 milestones have been, like a 12-incher, and then the next one is 3 pounds. And that's the one you want to be the milestone fish, and it's always the next one. So we'll see where it lands. But I'm going out for most of the day tomorrow, probably 7-8 hours, and I've got to get 28 to break 38,000. So that's my goal. And then 16 more beyond that, and I hit 1,000 caught and release for this year. So hopefully I can accomplish both goals, but I'm going to have a good day to do it.
You're gonna do
The weather looks stable. I'll be going in with my spinner baits, jigs, and
You've got 4 months to get that done.
I fully expect it to happen tomorrow, forbidding any disasters like wheels coming off or 4-year-olds on tricycles. So we'll see. I'm going to get an early start, grab a breakfast sandwich, cup of coffee, make my drive, and get up there and give it all I got and enjoy it and watch it unfold and see if I can make it happen. So let me give a quick tip out here, and we'll have more of this fishing information in the next podcast. This is basically a good one for you and I to get caught up and get back in stride again. But I still contend, and the place I'm going, it's spring fed. It runs usually 5 to 8 degrees cooler than every place else around because of the elevation. So when you have the dog days, seek out those bodies of water that are spring fed and do run cooler than everywhere else, because the fish are going to bite better. And find a stream that has current seams and oxygenated water. The big rivers, you're not going to find it in that. And I should have added that to our last podcast, but the experience we had with the tournament reminded me, you should have said something about that, because they fish more like a lake in that regard, especially in the heat of the summer. A lot of guys don't like fishing the river in the heat of the summer. They prefer to do it in the fall when those fish get super active again and start to group up. They're not grouped up now. So that's the deal. Look for the oxygenated water. Look for areas that are spring fed and cooler water. That's where I'm headed tomorrow. And the next time we get on the podcast here, I'll let you know how it worked out. But I'm going to do my level best to make it happen. So there it is.
Perfect. If you want some cool tips in these hot days of summer, slide into Roy's DMs, all lowercase Roy Bilby on Instagram.
And I'll answer all your questions. I respond to everybody who messages me, and I appreciate everybody who does. Want to give a shout out here to Mr. Globdropsky. That's his handle on Instagram. This is the gentleman that drove 4 hours to Clifton Park to tell me how much he enjoyed our podcast. He is Mr. Globdropsky on Instagram. Follow him. He's a cool dude. And keep telling people about the podcast. We're getting more and more downloads.
Yeah. So let's go over that first. Let's do a humble brag. 310 of you in 30 days downloaded an episode of this podcast, which is great.
And we can't thank you enough.
Huge. I was shocked to see it. I know sometimes we go a little bit in between and we lose a little bit of momentum when that happens, but we've been doing fairly well on getting our goal is to get, in a perfect world, we get 4 out a month, but we get 3 a month and we're happy, right? So
we've been shooting for 3 a month.
Yeah, we're shooting for 3. 4 is a treat, but 3 is what we can realistically achieve. So that's been great. Thank you so much. And also, we're up to 18 5-star reviews. So if you're listening to this on Spotify and you have not left a review yet, and you think this is worthy of a 5-star review, which I think it is, give us a 5-star review.
I can't thank you enough for all the downloads and for all the positive feedback we've gotten on what we're doing. And just can't thank you enough. And we will try to help you tap into your angler within.
Giddy up.